Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Let me tell you, today is one of those days that my head is exploding. And the reason it's exploding is we have such great opportunities right now to reclaim the narrative. We have great opportunities right now to show how much damage is being done economically. We know that there's a whole lot of damage that's done throughout this country, not only from an economic standpoint, but from a social standpoint, from many other standpoints. But we have today. Today is a classic day that we could have used, that we needed to have used as a template of how we reclaim the narrative. And it has to do with tariffs. And I could tell you exactly how we should have done that narrative. But before I get there, I just want to say that the president right now has, in town is Hungary's prime minister. Hungary's prime minister is a duplicate to some extent of Trump. He wants to be an autocrat. He is an autocrat. He wants to be a xenophobe. He is a xenophobe. And I just want to play you. His name is, the Hungarian prime minister, his name is Viktor Orbán. Viktor Orbán is the name of the prime minister. And I want to let you listen to what's going on around the world. And Trump is the leader in this supremacist, xenophobic type of movement. I want you to see why it is for the benefit not only of the United States, but of the world, that we extricate ourselves from people like this. Because this is fomenting hate, this is fomenting divisions, but it's not that kind of division that we're talking about, political divisions, etc. This is dangerous. Whereas this is something that it is on a global basis, a global nature. So what I want you to do, right, is listen to how Viktor Orbán went ahead and spoke to Donald Trump, how he brought into how happy he is to be here. Check it out.
I have some expectations for this meeting this afternoon. First of all, to strengthen our strategic alliance, then to discuss global political issues because so many changes are going on and we have some similar approaches. And I would like to express that we are proud to stand together with the United States on fighting against illegal migration, on terrorism, and to protect and help the Christian communities all around the world. So, President, thank you very much for the invitation.
And you have been great with respect to Christian communities. You have really put a block up, and we appreciate that very much.
Did you get that? Did you get that? I didn't know the Christian community was under attack. I didn't know the Christian communities was being bombed out to smithereens. I thought the only communities I saw at large that are really getting terrorized right now, I could be wrong, but all these, I've seen a whole lot more damage on the other side. Not that there should be any damage at all, but the kind of fomentation to let Christians believe that they're under attack, this vast, strong religion, to get a whole lot of crazies out there now looking for all the brown people, all the Muslims, all the others, that is dangerous. But going back to the narrative, going back to what we're going to talk about today. But before, let me go ahead. The title of the program today is Democrats Could Allow Trump's Tariffs a Win if They Don't Set the Narrative. And today is the biggest upset today just showed that we are just not in the game. We are not in the game. And absent shows like ours and other people who are trying to point these things out, the media looked flaccid. And Democrats look non-existent. Today was a day for Democrats to shine. They didn't. Okay, there are several narratives that one can build against the Trump tariffs. Today's massive stock market drop was a tailor-perfect moment for some grandstanding by Democrats to put them all into the American psyche. They have not so far. They have not done that so far. And you know what? Trump is a star. He's a movie star. He's a guy that goes out and he understands how people work. He understands how the media works. He understands that if you really want to be successful in this realm, you have to know how to do it. You have to know how to engage. I'm going to play you his interview, but before I get to play his interview, I just want to set a narrative here. It isn't that Donald Trump is telling the truth. He's not. It isn't that Donald Trump is factually right. He's not. The thing about it is, let's not make the mistake and believe that Americans are in the know. Most of them are not. That is one of the reasons I wrote the book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. None of us, very few people really spend the time to know how an economy works. They don't have the time to do that. They spend a few times to figure out, why is our defense budget so big? Why do we cut here and not here? They don't understand that because they don't have the time, the desire to get into those things. So we have to be the voice of reasons for those who are not putting this stuff out there. We have to be that voice. We have to present a voice. That is our goal, to present a voice. But we're not. After Donald Trump, what I'm going to do is go ahead and read what the program is going to be about. And then I'm going to go ahead and play you the parts of the interview that is present. And then I'm going to we'll interpret how that is, how dangerous that is. But anyhow, the Trump's tariffs present a perfect opportunity for Democrats to seize the moment. As I watched MSNBC, CNN, and Fox, I knew they would be chasing every microphone. I knew that every Democrat was going to be chasing microphones so they could get to speak to the American farmer, so they could speak to the American consumer, so they could speak to the American middle class, so they could speak to the poor. Why? Why did they need to do that? They needed to do that because you know what? What is occurring? The tariffs is just one particular form of economic destruction right now that we can put into the touches, the feelings of people. It is something that they can feel and touch. It's not an abstract. It's something we can show how it's affecting them right now. The farmers are in dire straits. Those are the people we should be talking to. We should be saying, hey guys, we are coming to your rescue. Don't believe in these other things. We're coming to your rescue. Before Donald Trump got a chance to create a narrative. And you know what he's done, folks? The brother has created a narrative. And I'll tell you something. I put myself into the shoes of the Trump voter. I put myself into the shoes of the farmer. I put myself into the shoes of the average middle class person, an economy that has a semblance of doing good, doing well. And having not seen a push to tell you from the other party, I am coming for your rescue. This is why you're not doing as well as you may be told you're doing. And let me express it to you. That is what today was supposed to be. We are supposed to be doing today. We didn't. We haven't. There are so many points that Democrats should be using right now with regards to tariffs that, while unlikely to change Trump's policies, would lay the groundwork to build on. Trump's tariffs create points of discussions on the deficit, taxes, lying to his base, economic pain of the masses, and so much more. Yet, Democrats are just leaving it up to pundits, journalists, and others to make a less than perfect narrative. And after the interview that Trump gave, I turned it on MSNBC, and all of them were so upset with Trump about how bad Trump did and how much he lied and all these things. And all I could say is like, well done, Trump. Trump, you did a wonderful job. You usurped the message on grandstanding on this issue that should have been coming from Democrats. What I want to do right now is let you hear the interview, and after the interview, we'll take it on the other side. Let me put this stuff on. Okay, we'll take it on the other side.
To China's decision today to retaliate on tariffs and the market reaction to that?
Well, the reaction is very simple. China has been taking advantage of the United States for many, many years. I'm not just talking about during the Obama administration. You can go back long before that. And it's been taking out 400, 500, 600 billion dollars a year out of the United States. And we can't let that happen. We're in a very strong position. Our economy has been very powerful. Theirs has not been. We've gone up a lot since our great election in 2016. And if you look at the numbers, they've gone down quite a bit. We're dealing with them. We have a very good relationship. Maybe something will happen. We're going to be meeting, as you know, at the G20 in Japan. And that'll be, I think, probably a very fruitful meeting. But we're taking in right now hundreds of billions of dollars. We're taking in billions of dollars of tariffs. And those tariffs are going to be tremendously, if you look at what we've done thus far with China, we've never taken in 10 cents until I got elected. Now we're taking in billions and billions. Now, it went up as of Friday very substantially. It's 25% or 200 billion. So now the total is 25% on $250 billion. In addition to that, we have another $325 billion that we can do if we decide to do it. So we are taking in tens of billions of dollars. We've never done that before with China. We've never done that before with anybody, frankly, because we've been taken advantage of on all of our trade deals, practically. This is a very positive step. I love the position we're in. There can be some retaliation, but it can't be very, very substantial by comparison. And out of the billions of dollars that we're taking in, a small portion of that will be going to our farmers, because China will be retaliating probably to a certain extent against our farmers. We're going to take the highest year, the biggest purchase that China has ever made with our farmers, which is about $15 billion, and do something reciprocal to our farmers so our farmers can do well. They'll be planting, they'll be able to sell for less, and they'll make the same kind of money until such time as it's all straightened out. So our farmers will be very happy. Our manufacturers will be very happy, and our government is very happy because we're taking in tens of billions of dollars. I think it's working out very well. Again, we do much less business with China than they do with us. If you take a look at 100 billion versus 600 billion, and just so you understand, we don't have to pay any tariffs. If you're a manufacturer in this country, you pay nothing. Open your division or open up your product, have it made in this country as opposed to made in China. Or if you don't want to do that, and that would be the ideal, that's what it used to be a long time ago when we were smart, when we had an economy that was really something very special. Now we're having a period of tremendous growth and tremendous success like we haven't seen for a long time. But in the old days, we made our product, and we took our product, and that's what it was. Now we go to China, we buy it. Not anymore. And if they don't want to pay tariffs, make it here or buy it from another country that's a non-tariffed country. So whether you go to Vietnam or so many others, you can do that. So the bottom line is we are taking in tremendous amounts of money. It already started as of last Friday, but it really started 7 months before that. It's in the form of tariffs or taxes, and it had a tremendous impact. If you looked at the first quarter, which is always historically the worst quarter, we were at 3.2%. People were very surprised. Well, a lot of that was the tariffs that we were taking in from China. So we're in a very good position, and I think it's only going to get better.
Wow. A lot of people who are in the know, a lot of people who know economics, a lot of people, they know that Donald Trump just shot out a whole bunch of crap, right? Donald Trump went ahead and said, that the taxes, he gave the impression that the American people are not the ones that are going to pay the taxes. He gave the impression that it's a good thing. He gave all these great impressions, but you know what he showed in that interview? He showed resolve, he showed strength, he shows not backing down, and he shows that he was for the worker. He's screwing them, but as he screws them, as he screws the middle class, he tells them, I am doing this for you. And then how does he put icing on the cake, meaning that he's going to do it for you? Look, when Obama, and he didn't even lay it on Obama only, when Obama, Bush, and all these other presidents were here, they let these China and all these guys get away with everything. And because they got away with everything is the reason why I have to do this. It's going to be some pain right now for a few people, but we have to do this right now. We've never, ever, look at what's happening to the Treasury. The Treasury is filling up with cash. And he's giving you the impression that all this cash that the Treasury is filling up with, and check this out, right? $200 billion at 25% tariff gives you what? $50 billion more into the coffers, right? But he gives you the impression that somehow that money is coming from China. It isn't. But we'll go into that in a little bit. But the other thing he did is he says, well, I know China is going to retaliate against the farmers. Remember earlier when I started the program, I said, why aren't Democrats in front of the microphone says, farmers, we're coming to your rescue. We are going to ensure that Donald Trump's tariffs in the long run won't stand, and that this sort of stuff, when we are empowered, cannot happen to you again. We're going to give you reliability. Right? But you see, Trump beat them to the argument, right? Trump says, I am going to stand strong with these guys, and I'm going to give you back all that money that I'm collecting from everybody. Well, really from, he's lying, from China. I'm going to give it back to you anyway. I'm going to find the highest, the year that you sold the most, at the highest price that you sold in the last several years. I am going to figure what that is out, and I think that comes out to about $15 billion. And remember, he's collecting on all these tariffs over $50 billion on the $200,000. And when he talks about $350 billion more in tariffs at 25%, that gives you yet another 70, 80, 90 billion dollars in tariffs, right? So those are really taxes, tax increases. Money is going to the copper. But I'm going to tell you the sinister thing in all of this in a little bit, right? Because they don't tell you this. And you know, they don't tell you this, and you don't have Democrats out there expressing it in a manner that you can understand. Let me give you a point. So here it goes. The farmers here, the people in the farmland hear that, hey, Trump is trying his best to get a better deal for us farmers and for everybody in the United States. And guess what he's going to do? While there's some pain, he's going to take all that money that's coming in from China to pay us so that we can still grow. And even though our price of our products are going to be less, we are going to be able to make it up for the subsidies the government gives. Suppose the government gave the auto workers and all these guys subsidies for cars being exported and all of that. Wouldn't that be great? But no, the farmers are his voters, right? So he's going to give them the impression that he's going to make them whole. But guess what? They don't tell you. Most of this is big agribusiness that's going to get those checks, not the little farmer. They may get a pittance, but it's a big agribusiness that's going to get. So, I mean, he continues to feed the plutocracy. He continues to feed all the wealthy. He continues to feed the folks that have the real money. But here's the kicker. Remember that big tax cut that he gave? And we constantly told you it was a transfer of wealth from the poor, from the middle class to the rich. Even the tariffs that's being placed on right now is another transfer of wealth from the masses to the few, right? Because here's how it goes, right? You go ahead and you buy something that was made in China. The person who makes that product had to increase the price of that product that was made in China. So let's say it increased by 25%, right? That guy who imported that product from China is going to charge you 25% more for that product. But in reality, you know how it works, right? Whenever prices start, whenever a retailer raises his price, he doesn't just raise the price of his raw material. He raises the price by more. He's going to say, the prices went up by 25%. So he's not going to increase it by 25% of the raw material. He's going to increase it 25% of the list price. So you are going to get hit because The number is 25%. So he can get away with saying it went up 25%. And in your psyche, you don't figure out that that price is on the raw product and not the final price that he charges you. So he charges that much more. So he makes more money from that increase in price from charging you. But that's not the only money the wealthy makes, right? Remember that tax cut scam that the Republicans passed, that had to be paid for somehow. That had to be paid for. And we were going into some tremendous deficit spending, which would have necessitated, in some form, based on how our economy is structured right now, a rise in taxes again on somebody, either the middle class or the rich, likely the rich because that's where all the money is. But that's not what he did. He just put on a tariff. And that tariff, everybody, the poor, the middle class, everybody, but the people who are most affected are the people who buy those cheap products, right? Think about this. Who are the people that buy most of the Chinese products? Those are the people that buy things out of Walmart and all these other stores that sell the cheap Chinese product, right? The wealthy folks are going to buy the Rolls Royces out of England. They're going to buy the expensive stuff that comes out of other countries that don't have to pay the tariff. So their stuff not going up. It's a hit on the middle class. It's a hit on the poor. It's a hit on everything else. And what Donald Trump is saying now is he gives another kicker to justify what he's doing. What does he say? He says in his interview there, he says, oh, and by the way, you really would not have had to pay that tariff if we just started manufacturing back in the United States. So all those folks in Ohio, all those manufacturers, all those laid off workers who are accustomed to a factory type pay as opposed to a service type pay, they're thinking deep on the inside, oh, wow, Donald Trump is fighting for us. Donald Trump is fighting for us. You know what he's doing? He's making us feel some pain right now and telling all these guys, if you really want to solve the problem so that there aren't any tariffs, manufacture in the United States, which is what we've been saying all along. We wanted to manufacture in the United States. But we didn't want Americans to have to feel a pain to correct the mistake of past administrations who justified all these companies that offshored and outsourced their products. We paid by losing jobs. We paid by losing a tax base when they exported those jobs, exported those things, right? And they're asking us to pay again to somehow make America build products in the United States again. But here's the kicker. We can't really build these products in the United States anymore because the skill level is no longer there. We have not manufactured these types of products. We have not created factories for these types of products in decades. So therefore, this isn't something that could happen immediately. This isn't something that we could do at all because we neither have the skill set nor do we have the manufacturing capacity to do so. Because we, over the last few decades, to be blunt, going on the fourth decade, we've been exporting all our jobs overseas to places like China. Now, the hypocrisy of the president is the following. He said, okay, start manufacturing these things in the United States and start buying products that are built in the United States. That will alleviate some of the problems, right? The question is, how comes the president himself, when he's looking for workers for his different his estates and his places of where he entertains people, how comes he's importing all these people from Costa Rica and all these other foreign countries as opposed to hiring Americans? How comes the products that he sells throughout his businesses are made in China and elsewhere? So the idea here is Democrats were supposed to come out. Democrats were supposed to come out of the gate in grandstanding form. They should have gone on every network and said, we have something to say. As the stock market craters because of this thing, We need to go ahead and speak to the American people and tell them exactly what's going on here and how we are going to be different and why our way is better than tariffs. Why our way is better than it claims. Yes, we want to bring back production to America, but we don't want to bring back production on your back. We are not going to bring back production on your back at all. We are going to do what's right. We are going to do it the right way. We are going to be right. Folks, I don't understand. I don't understand why it is that we, at this point in time, are so poor in defending what is right. I don't understand why. It is not difficult, and I tell you what I started to tell myself. I started to tell people one thing. I started to say, no party, the leadership of no party can be this derelict. The leaders of no party can be this derelict. This is by design. This is what we call centrist behavior. In other words, we only rock the boat when you're moving too far out. And right now, Trump, with all his rhetoric, when you look at what he's doing just fine for the plutocracy, and the plutocracy feeds both sides. No party can be this derelict. Folks, this is a call-in show, and I would love to hear some of your points of view. I would love for some of you to call in, 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. And I see I have a call. Let me go ahead and get that call. It's from a 209 number, I think. Come on in, 209.
Oh, happy Monday. It's Sally Egberto.
Hey,
how are you?
Sally, how are you doing today?
I'm hanging in there as usual.
Absolutely.
To me, the stocks dropping today just prove what a con man we have there in the White House.
Yeah.
And first of all, I cannot understand how all his cult followers can wear those MAGA hats made in China.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
You know what I'm saying? That the hypocrisy of what we have running our country right now it just astounds me.
But you know what, Sally, what gets me even more upset? I really understand the hypocrisy. I understand that Trump is doing what Trump has to do to win. Trump is doing what he does, okay? What I don't understand is it's 973, I'm coming to you next. What I don't understand, Sally, is why is it that Democrats are so either ill-prepared to come out and make the narrative? I've just made the narrative. I've just made a simple narrative. And that simple narrative is that we can use the tariffs. We can use the argument in many places. It's a tax increase on the middle class to pay for the tax cut scam that we said was going to blow the deficit, and this is helping it. And he even admitted that when he gave the interview. He said, they thought it was a 3%. It was going to be 3% more for the deficit is what he was implying, but it wasn't. And the reason why is because of the $50 billion or however billion dollars he collected in tariffs. What he didn't say is that wasn't China who was paying that. It was the average American citizen with the increase in price of the products that they're buying. They didn't tell you that.
Exactly. And right away, I know someone who's going to incorporate this into their narrative, and it's going to be Bernie Sanders.
Exactly.
Because that is the one candidate right now, the presidential candidate, that really speaks truth to power.
Absolutely, and it
well, not the one, because Liz does too, But the rest of them, to me, are all corporate sellouts. And even Liz is kind of, on the fence with capitalism.
The
but
thing about
still,
it is,
she does stand up and.
I wrote an article on that. I want you to read it if you get a chance. It's on Daily Kos, on the front page on Daily Kos, yesterday, on Elizabeth Warren.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get a chance to check that article out, please check it out. It's at dailykos.com. And just scan my name and look for the one that I said Elizabeth had the answer, because I interpreted that. But let me ask you, Sally, I'm going to put you on hold a second and take on the other caller, and then I'm going to come back to you. Okay, let's go line number 2. Come on in, 973. Come on in.
Nice. How you doing today, Egberto?
I am doing fine. Who am I speaking to?
Hello?
Yes, who am I speaking to?
Oh, this is Johnny.
Hey, Donnie, come on in, Johnny. Talk to me.
Hello? Thank you. Well, the thing that kind of made me look at the stock market numbers today, and I just said, oh my, this is really, really not good in the sense that, our president has way too much power of influence.
Right.
But I have to say, before I turn this into let's tear open Trump, I just want to admit that I actually do believe that protectionist policies, as far as trade go, should be in place. And I'm just not sure. I'll put it to you like this. I think there's actually a legitimate argument for tariffs, but I'm hesitant to believe that Trump is the guy to make those decisions. I would be more comfortable if Congress were kind of in the middle of this tariff issue, because I do believe that we need some protection built into the system. Now, don't get me wrong, I love free markets, at least ideally in concept. But as far as understanding that the American worker has to be protected, I think that's actually important. And in fact, one of the things that I would tell Beto O'Rourke, who I don't know what's going on with him, but I think he should be using this as an opportunity to kind of go after Trump. He has to come at Trump from a trade and policy standpoint. One of the things that he could do very easily would be to repeal the Taft-Hartley Act. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that act.
That is the Antitrust
Act.
Act.
But that was the act that... Yeah, that was the act that pretty much destroyed unions.
Right.
So I feel like, if you're running for president and, go after those kinds of things. Like if you repeal that act, mm-hmm. you can kind of, and especially if you couple it with a protectionist trade policy, mm-hmm. that might help the American worker and reestablish the middle class.
I want to address two things that you mentioned, because I think they're very important. The first thing about it is you believe in the some sort of a protectionist policy. Ironically, I do as well. Okay, but here's my argument that I believe Democrats are supposed to be making is that when the transition was occurring to move our jobs overseas, to outsource and offshore, there was the penalty was paid by the worker. In other words, he was paid by the worker by him being laid off and all these factories being closed.
Yep.
And society, so society paid the price. We also paid in taxes to support these people with welfare, etc. Now,
and we also paid with student loans to become, like you said, better
exactly
for the
corporation
to hire us.
Right. But here's the kicker now. What we are now asking folks. Let me see how to put it this way. What we are asking the American worker to do now is to also bear the brunt of the blow of bringing companies back through protectionist policies. In other words, what I'm saying is, right now what we do to bring them back is to put a tariff on. We don't want to put a tariff on to force American companies back. What we want to do is tell American companies to draw your butts back, or we tax the holy hell out of you. In other words, the onus is on the company and not on the consumer. And when they try to pass that to the consumer, we then tax them with some sort of, and I don't know, I'll have to talk to economist Richard Wolff about this. But there ought to be a way that we can, again, we force the penalty onto them. In other words, if they then try to bill it back to to the consumer, we bill it right back to them,
Right.
in giving grants back to the consumers. Because what happens here is this: we are biased towards the corporation, and we have to stop that. If you take a look at, they always say, oh, there's not enough money from the corporations and the rich people to pay the bill. That's only because you have classified income differently than capital gains. If you classify capital gains differently, you can see that most of the money in this country is held by a few. And yes, we can tax the holy hell out of that. Just like I get my home tax, I own my home. It's taxed every year. I pay, I don't know.
Yep.
X
Even though
amount.
you own it, you don't pay that tax on it, they will take it.
They'll take it from you. The same thing
That's
should
true.
be for those stocks that Bezos have and all. We have enough money in this country to get everything done. The problem is we have a
But my thing is,
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but,
go ahead.
But
That's
the point,
okay.
and I think you're spot on. But the other question, and it's really an opportunity from, in my opinion, Beto O'Rourke, because this is where he should be going after Trump.
That's the
he
second
should be
subject.
attacking Trump on
That's-
trade issues.
That's the second subject I wanted to talk to you about. That's the second thing that I wanted to talk to you about when it comes to Beto O'Rourke. I like Beto O'Rourke for being, and Sally, I'm going to be coming back to you, so I want to get this trend continued. I wanted Beto O'Rourke to be a senator. I think that's where he belongs, okay? As far as the presidency is concerned for the entire country, I don't want Beto O'Rourke. And the reason why is Beto O'Rourke is good for Texas, for where we are from an ideological standpoint. He can bridge the divide, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because there's not much of a divide, but he can build that implicit divide. For the
He
country,
can build that coalition.
that coalition, yes, sir. Exactly. Yeah, I like that you exact word I should have used. Now, when it comes to for the country, Beto O'Rourke is neither progressive enough, nor, in my opinion, has a wide enough vision for where the country is going. I listen to him, and he speaks. I love the way he is. In other words, he's active with his arms, and he really wants to get things done, but he just, in my opinion, don't know how to get it done. Now, when I look at somebody like...
Listen,
Go ahead. I have some more to say.
You got to give it, but the problem with Beto is that he brings Texas with him, and so that gives him a lot of power, because if he wins Texas, whoever he's going against is in trouble.
I don't know.
And also,
I don't know
he can focus his resources on winning California and Texas and Florida, and that makes him pretty much very hard to beat, even against the Kamala Harris, against Elizabeth Warren.
I think
he's going to be tough that way.
I think, in my humble opinion, and it's only an opinion, but in my humble opinion, I think people give too much credence to who can bring what. I mean, Trump brought a whole lot of places that nobody thought Trump could bring. Trump is a Northeasterner that brought a whole lot of Southerners. So I mean, I don't buy I don't buy into the we need Beto to bring Texas, right? I think Beto can be just as effective not being on the ticket by representing whoever is going to be on the ticket. In other words, I think...
Well, I was going to give you what he needs to do to fix it, because if he really wants to take a shot, because he looks like an outsider right now, he doesn't look like he's really in this race. In my mind, in order for him to win this race, he's put himself in a very precarious situation. He has to take a chance. He has to do something kind of radical. And the kind of radical move that he needs to make at this point, and this is going to sound crazy, but what he can do is he can reach over into what I like to call the interesting bag, and go into the interesting bag and grab out and pull out reparations for American descendants of slavery. Now, let me tell you how I'd like to see this done.
Okay.
He could pull it out and say, just like we gave casinos to the Native Americans, let's legalize marijuana, and then all the proceeds will go to some fund that at some point we'll figure out how to distribute it. But the point is that he could lock into something like that, and it sounds crazy, but that's one of the ways he could steal the black vote.
And he gets
from Bernie Sanders.
He gets all the black vote, and he loses 90% of the white vote. Let me tell you something.
You know what?
Let me explain one thing to you before Johnny. Let me finish this one. Let me because this is important here, right? And this doesn't have to be with about white people being racist, or it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with
No, I'm not talking. No.
I know,
it's
but
about
let me finish.
reparations.
Let me finish. This is important because I get a lot of letters from my listeners, and I love my listeners, right? And this white guy sent me a letter, and he says, I am an angry white man, and he wanted me to explain a few things to him, right? And one of the things he's like, how do I explain to that white Appalachian guy, or to a large percentage of white people, even in my community, that is supposed to have, that's supposed to be normal middle class folk, how do I explain reparations for something they didn't do or whatever? And I said to him, I can explain it to them. And I can explain it to them that they want to do it. The problem is for 2020, I don't have enough time. You, Johnny, don't have enough time to do it. And
That's true.
And in the interim,
That's true. I agree. I agree.
Right,
I agree.
And in the interim, let me tell you what. A lot of my white friends that aren't. Hold on a second.
But
Hold on,
the marijuana
hold on,
industry is
brother.
a pathway.
Brother, hold on a second. Let me finish, brother. Let me finish. I have a lot of white friends that are not racist, that are going to look at their pocketbook, and they're going to say
they don't want to do it.
and then they're going to say, I'm broke. And then the other thing that they're going to say is they're going to fall for the lies. Many of them are going to fall for the lies that will come immediately after any politicians just come out and talk about reparations. You see, I think reparation is a ruse. I mean, a lot of Black Lives Matter folks want to talk reparations right now, and I'm a Black Lives Matter supporter as well. But I don't want to talk reparations right now, because anybody talking reparations right now, in my humble opinion, don't have a plan. Haven't done the legwork to really put that out there, and just throwing that out there.
Oh, you're right. It needs a lot. It needs to be researched. That's true.
Right.
That's true.
And my thing is what that does immediately is that create look, black people,
a weapon to be used against the Democrats.
Because let me tell you what's going to happen immediately.
But here's the problem, Egberto. But here's the problem.
Sally, I'm coming back to you.
I don't see where.
Go ahead.
Does Beto have any other choice? Because at this point, he's not going to win. He's not going to raise the money to defeat Biden or Bernie.
Right.
And I'm just telling you right now, it's going to take this kind of a radical move to steal the black vote from Biden or from Bernie, because otherwise he has no chance of winning.
You know who's the
neither does Elizabeth Warren.
The sleeper is Elizabeth. Trust me on this one. The sleeper is Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth is exactly where she wants to be. First of all, the front runner rarely wins.
Yeah, that's true.
The front runner rarely holds on to that position. Hillary Clinton held on to that position because the Democratic Party went outright for her. And then she only had Bernie as an opponent. As far as Biden is concerned, two things. Biden is simply too damn old. And he's starting to look like he has false teeth, and he's just even Bernie, who look like an old curmudgeon, looks better in that is an old curmudgeon you won't mind seeing as a president. But no, Biden is doing very well because Democrats are timid. Democrats want somebody they believe can beat Trump, and the entire Democratic establishment, including the media, has convinced them that somehow Donald Trump is scared of Biden, and then Donald Trump is playing into it. I mean, this is the biggest ruse since since they forced what's his name, Al Gore, to run away from Clinton.
But you can't feel comfortable with, if you see a debate between Elizabeth Warren, who I love her.
Yeah,
I think she should win.
Right.
But on a debate stage,
she'll tear him up.
Just snicker at her.
Nope.
You can just snicker at her and dismiss her, because I hate to say this, there's far too many Americans that are dismissive of women as leaders.
I know, but guess what? I've seen,
and not to make a Game of Thrones reference, but you see that on Game of Thrones, when they put women in charge, they're very dismissing of women being in charge.
And that's fine. And let me tell you
what. And you see it on Game of Thrones
let's remember, Hillary won the vote. So, I mean, what I try to tell people, I try to tell people all the time is, they keep bringing this stuff up about women. Look at what happened to Hillary. No, Hillary won the vote. But not only did Hillary won the vote, Hillary's people made strategic mistakes. You don't lose an election from 80,000 votes in 3 states. Okay? You don't. You don't. That is how lousy her people were. And that is why she lost.
No, that's true.
So, I mean, Americans will vote for women. Okay? The problem is the right woman. And talking about whether Elizabeth Warren can go be up on stage with Trump. Elizabeth Warren will clean Trump's clock. I have seen. Let me tell you something. People have not seen the fight in Elizabeth till you see some of her videos. The way she comes out. Elizabeth Warren is no pushover. I saw Elizabeth Warren at Netroots. And I have a video with Elizabeth Warren at Netroots. She will not be a pushover. Elizabeth Warren is exactly where she wants to be. And I am putting my...
Listen, I like her.
I am putting my money right now.
Her.
Not on Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie Sanders, and I'm committed to Bernie Sanders in the short term. But I'm kind of putting my money on Elizabeth Warren. Let me bring Sally into the conversation. You can stay on as well. Come on, Sally, into the conversation.
Thank you.
Sally.
Oh, yeah. I've been taking notes while you guys were speaking. And here's the thing. I want to tax the hell out of corporations,
right?
Because they're making all the profits off of us,
right?
And
Agreed.
Not only that,
it only makes sense.
How do the corporations move their profits on our infrastructure?
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
If it wasn't for our highways and byways and railroad tracks and our air, how would they move their products?
The kids that work there. That's true. That's right. I agree. And I'd also just add in that, the internet was made by the American government and then given to private corporations. And so this partnership between private corporations and the American government, the American people who have provided these corporations with all kinds of tools upon which they can make money, I agree with that.
Exactly,
and the only way to recover that money is taxing. Right, and I agree with that. The only way to get it back is to tax them. It's only fair.
While they pay zero taxes, we're the ones footing the bill for everything for them to make their profits.
But what's crazy is nobody's talking about how do we reestablish the middle class without going to unions. And I feel like the way that we save the middle class has to come through unions. I'm not
saying that
I'm like this crazy pro-union guy, but I don't know how else we could do it.
Reagan did his best to abolish, and ever since Reagan was in office,
that's right.
Ever since Reagan, everything they've done was just to get rid of the labor unions, which is where we the little worker
the middle class
get our power.
That's right.
Let me join
so
in.
That's my issue.
Yeah, let me get in here a second and tell you that that is why I am so, at this point, enamored with Elizabeth Warren's policy positions, because all those things that you guys are mentioning there, it is something that she is talking about diligently. And the thing about it is she is methodical in the way she's doing. You notice that they call her, I have a policy for that. Everything that she comes out, they call her, I have a policy for that.
That's right, yeah.
Okay? And the thing about it is having a policy for that also means that when she hits up in front of Trump, she also is building up her sarcasm database, right? And because when you're on the stage with Donald Trump, you're going to have a good sarcasm database, and you're going to have to be able to really articulate a lot of what he is doing. And I think she is right there, and I think Americans.
Well,
go ahead, Sally.
Let me interrupt for a minute, because you're speaking of someone who says that he's not going to release his health care plan until after 2020 election.
Right.
Come on now.
That's good, because
really?
And what she's going to say.
That's how he plans to get reelected. Well, vote for me and you'll get a surprise. Hello?
Yeah. Well, and her comeback is that Republicans have been saying that for 30 years, for 40 years. And you never get anything. This is what we're going for this time. And I think once she makes that case, I think it is important that she makes that case. And I think she's doing a great job in making the case. One of the things is this. Right now, the media is on hock for Biden, okay? And the Democratic Party is on hock for Biden. I mean, all of these guys work together. That is why it takes the independent media out to actually put this stuff out. When I go to Netroots in July, I probably am going to get an interview with Elizabeth Warren. I haven't set it up yet, but I'm probably going to get an interview with Elizabeth Warren and some other ones. But I think we have to key in to those particular issues. Now, when it comes to Biden, I don't. The Democratic, as hard as the Democratic Party works for Biden, is going to be it's going to be inversely proportional to his success, because people are going to see it as a sort of a forcing him onto the body politic.
And let me tell you something. He can't win. Biden can't win because he's not going to get the black vote. I'm telling you right now, the black people are not going to vote for him because we're going to hold him responsible for his policies that he put in place with the prison industrial complex.
Let me just say,
so,
let me put a caution to that.
To add to those coffers there is going to cost him now.
I need to
So
add
I don't
a caution
think Biden
to that.
understands that. He's being set up for a fall.
Right, and that is a big thing right now. They're advertising on TV that Biden is leading in the black community even more so than in the white community. In the black community, he has a 58% of the vote right now, and that's what he has, 58%. But
and by the way, I just want to tell you, the polling in the black community.
Go ahead,
I don't
Sally.
trust it.
Yes.
I have to interrupt here
Yes.
because says who? Says these polls?
Right.
And who?
Right,
who,
thank
who's
you, and I don't trust
conducting
those
these
polls.
Right.
I don't believe these polls.
But
you know, we've already proved that CNN poll
Right.
that says Biden was leading was only for senior citizens.
Right.
And
Yep.
no, I don't. And it's really too early to be polling people anyway.
Right, that's what I was going to say, Sally. Sally, that's what I was going to
By no
say.
means do I believe that Biden is in the lead.
I don't think he's in the lead at all either, and I don't even know how he's going to be able to listen. Among the black people that I've spoken with, they're not. He's not even on the radar.
He is a
One at a
paid-for
time.
candidate.
Right.
The corporations have bought and have paid for Biden, and they're the ones that they know will represent them. So mainstream media and everybody is pushing Biden on us and trying to make us believe
One at a time.
that he is the one. When I know I know darn well he's not.
Exactly. Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, and if Biden would have listened to Barack Obama, because Barack Obama was pleading with him to run instead of giving Hillary the nomination, Biden would have won.
Right.
And he'd be going for a second term now.
Right.
But the problem is that he didn't want to do it. And now he's going to try to do it now. The timing's off.
Yeah.
Like, this is just, he missed his window. He
Right.
missed his window.
late.
And I feel the same way for Bernie. Bernie missed his window as well.
Let me tell you, I'm reluctantly agreeing with you on Bernie as well, but I can't quite get there yet. I have to be pushed there. I'm only human.
I don't believe Bernie missed his window. I believe Bernie got screwed out of his window.
No. Well, actually, you're correct.
I didn't want to, but I did. I watched some of the Democratic convention again recently, and here you hear the representatives standing up for state after state saying Bernie Sanders, and then they go ahead and put Hillary up there.
Yeah. Well, I was at the convention.
I
was
Come
at
on
the,
now.
Okay, I was
Really?
at the, at the
Yeah.
convention. So I mean, what happened? That was all staged. I was at the convention, and all of this stuff was staged for TV. The way that it was done, right? And Bernie was a part of the staging. So I mean, it wasn't like Bernie didn't get conned at the convention. Bernie got conned way before the convention. And what he did at the convention.
Agreed, but let me ask you this question. How come Hillary didn't pick Bernie as a running partner? I felt like if she would pick him as a running partner, she gets the win right there. Like, she picks him to be her VP.
It was never going to happen.
She would have won.
It was never going to happen. That wasn't a part of the deal. It was never going to happen. And I don't even know that Bernie would have wanted to run with her at all. You know, Bernie.
I know,
yeah.
but you know what? I feel like Bernie's magnanimous enough.
Yeah.
You don't think he would have taken it?
Nope.
Really?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
No. I don't think Bernie would have taken it.
Yeah. But anyhow, guys, I gotta let you.
Okay.
I gotta let both of you go. Look, I enjoyed both of you calling in. I really appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you.
Okay, I mean, you add
It was
so
great
much.
talking to you, Sally.
Absolutely, Sally. Thank you for calling, Johnny. Thank you for calling. You add a lot of flavor to the conversation. You guys
Thank you,
have a
Egberto.
wonderful
Have a good
day.
one. Take care, guys.
Bye bye.
Have a great day.
You too, Sally. All right, folks, we're getting close to the end of the show. And let me tell you, first of all, I had a blog of the week, but like I tell you all of the time, whomever called, they take precedence over whatever we are going to do. Like I said, my big concern right now is that Democrats have allowed, and again, people may say, okay, well, they still have time to talk. Nope. That interview that Donald Trump gave right after the stock market cratered and with the Hungarian prime minister, where he made his case for the tariff, I think that is going to be sliced up and put into good context, because I thought, and as much as many people know that what he said was crap, for much of his audience and others, I think what he said was enough. And not only that, what he said is that he went on first. He went on first and officially made his case. No Democrat went and called a news conference specifically after the stock market cratered and used it as an example to say, these are the things that are occurring. The taxes, the tariffs are taxes that you are paying. The tariff are taxes you are paying to cover for the tax cut scam that occurred earlier last year. That the tariffs are also not going to bring back these jobs because there are other countries that these guys are just going to migrate to. This was just a manner of raising cash, your cash that you are paying. It also proved that he was a liar in what he's. I mean, there was so much to make on the tariff issue that didn't get made, and that likely it may be too late to make it. People, let me tell you something. I think it is imperative that you stick with us, the independent media that's out there, not just analyzing what you see out there, but out there saying, let's educate folk to what's really going on in this country. Because what these guys did, what our leaders hadn't done or haven't done on this tariff issue, by calling a new, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer should have called a joint news conference right away. As soon as that market hit 600 down, as soon as it came out, they should have gone out there, and then they only used, the market was only a catalyst to bring attention, because the news media and everybody started to crater. Oh, the stock market is down. Use that. Even if the stock market raised up after that, it's okay. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to set the narrative. You're trying to use that as the catalyst in people's minds to say what's going to happen. You are able to say, oh, and he wants to bring back jobs to America, so he's doing that. When they left, they did it on your back. Now they're asking to do it on your back again to try to bring them back, even though we know they're not coming back. Folks, there was so much to be made on what's going on with these tariffs. Folks, before we go, we need to go ahead and ask you to please become subscribers of Politics Done Right. Please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Just $1.99 to subscribe to Politics Done Right, or more if you want to, but $1.99 to subscribe to Politics Done Right. Patreon.com/Politics Done Right. You get all our books online. Every book that I write will be online, and you can actually see it online, read it online, do as you please. Please also know that we have another book, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. I tell you my story of how I became fit, got my blood pressure, which went from a max 240 over 140 to normal, and did it the right way, not the snake oil way, the right way. You can get that at Amazon, or you can get it at our site as well. It's going to be free again for anybody who's subscribing, but I do need your subscriptions. Patreon.com/Politics Done Right. Please support independent media. Please support a point of view that's going to be there, not telling you what they want you to hear, but telling you what really is, which is what we attempt to do every day that we come, every day that we are honored to have you listen to us. Again, folks, the address is patreon.com/Politics Done Right. And you want to know how things really work, again, that book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Still very prescient with the things we talk about. For all the folks that have been leaving messages on Facebook, I'll be answering those that need answer offline. But please, my dear brothers and my dear sisters, we have to stay engaged. We must stay engaged. Independent media has to stay alive to inform. The mainstream media just cannot do it. They're not allowed to go as far as we can to speak the truth as far as our economy, to speak the truth as far as the politicians and their relationship to the corporations and what leeway they have. The only thing that's going to save us is for us to come out there and tell you, for us to present more progressives to office. That's the only thing that's going to save us. My name is Egberto Willies. I thank you so kindly for spending some time here with me. Please remember to share these programs. It is imperative that other people hear what we're talking about. That is how we effect change. So my name is Egberto Willies, and you know how I end this baby. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.